Cosmick Voice. Music, talk, and nothing but business with your hosts, Chris Nanolini and Nick Michaels. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cosmick Voice. This is Season 3, Episode 3. I am here with my co-host, Chris Nanolini.
What is up, everybody?
And I am Mick Michaels. Welcome back, everyone. Chris, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Doing all right, bro. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. We're all doing fantastic.
Yeah, buddy.
How's the audience doing? The audience doing fantastic?
I'm sure they are. How could, for at least people here on the East Coast, it's warm.
At least for the next 40 minutes, they're fantastic.
So, how could you not be fantastic with this great weather? As everybody knows, when you hear these shows, you and I are we're a little ahead. So these come out a little backtracked. But today, unseasonably cool today. It was very gorgeous.
Yes, it was nice. It was still pleasant, enjoyable. It wasn't taxing with the humidity or anything like that. But, it was good. I enjoyed it. It was great.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Felt like that mid-September type of thing.
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
it was very good. Yeah. So,
Yep.
All right, man, we're going to roll on here in Season 3, Episode 3. And tonight, we are talking about have streaming services devalued music and ultimately devalued the artist. So have streaming services devalued music and ultimately doing the same thing to the artist? What do you think, buddy?
This is a tough one. When we do these things, when we answer these things, I try not to sound like the old guy in the room. You know what I mean? Like because I understand things change and procedures change. And even though I'm a, old school ways with new school tools kind of guy, I am just and this will show you what I meant by that statement was I am a guy that just likes to buy product. I like to have stuff in my hand. I like to have CDs or, I'm buying vinyl again, as I'm sure a lot of music lovers are. And I love the physical copy. It doesn't mean anything to the people that just like the digital downloads and stuff like that. But I think that with the digital downloads or music streaming, whatever, I think that you lose some of that, in my opinion, because I'm not really sure on your stance of it either, Mick. So you could totally have a different opinion, but because you're doing it digitally, you're losing that, even something as simple as the artwork or the stuff that we put in CDs, whether it's the lyrics or stuff like that. You buy a digital record, you get all that, but to actually look at it, to actually see it, to actually physically hold it and see the colors and see what the artist put into that picture or that painting or that computer generated idea, like whatever that graphic may be, I think with digital, you lose that. And, I know with Spotify, they have like little moving pictures sometimes and it shows the cover. But, with digital stuff, I feel that you really lose more of the creativity that the artist has because you don't have that outside of it. You just have the music. You're missing all the stuff that goes inside a record or a CD. A perfect example, and obviously I'm not comparing us to him at all, but I just got the Mammoth WVH, his new record, Wolfgang Van Halen's new record. And I bought the vinyl. And in an all Van Halen bloodline DNA, none of it makes sense to me. I'm sure it makes sense to him, but the painting that he used for the album cover, the stuff inside, the pictures, the lyrics, it's so nice to have a physical copy of that and be able to look at it and look through, and you really get an idea of maybe what that artist, or we're talking about Wolfgang in this idea, you really kind of get a vision into what he's trying to create, and you're really seeing his lyrics and the passion of those lyrics, and the artists in the band. Well, he wrote and recorded everything, but for other artists, you're getting all the listing of the musicians and who played on it and whose songs were written and who wrote what and who played what. And I think with digital, you lose all that. And again, I don't want to sound like the old guy in the room. I'm just trying to get out my thoughts in a fair way. I am just a physical copy guy. I like CDs. I like records. I like having it in my hand. And Mick, I believe that is our generation. And I believe, and we talked about this in the previous podcast, at least my genre of music, we're still very much physically oriented music listeners. We like to have a hard copy of something. It's not always about digital for us. Then there's the other side of that. Like, I had just bought Kiss's new record, The Live from Tokyo, from the soundboard, and I bought the physical CD, and I was really hoping that there'd be, I don't know, I was just hoping that it would be something, and they really put I don't want to say they didn't put any effort into it, because that's not a fair statement. They just didn't put anything on it. It literally, they may have intended it to look like a bootleg, because that's what it kind of looks like. I just thought there'd be a little more to it, whether it be, I only bought the CD. I think it's only available on CD as far as I know. But, they didn't even put like a booklet in it. It literally is just like a cardboard case with the 2 CDs in it. I don't know. I was super disappointed. And so in my opinion, to get around to this finally, I think that streaming service, I don't want to say devalued music, because it definitely, and I think you and I have spoken this on another show, it definitely has given people, anybody with a Casio keyboard can release stuff online. And, we're back in our day, even though we weren't crazy about a band or an artist, it was getting put out by a major label, where nowadays anybody can kind of record and put their music on a streaming site. So devalue music, I don't know if it's actually devalued music. I think that there's a lot of, I hate to even say it out loud, but I think that because of streaming, I think it's brought out a lot of bad music, in my opinion. And does it devalue the artists? I don't know if it devalues the artist. What I think it does is it may not give them that little extra hint of creativity to create something physical, whether, like I said, a painting or a graphic, or to put work in their product, instead of just coming up with a picture and putting it on, on a streaming service. I don't know, man. To me, I don't know if there is an answer, like a solid answer for that, because, again, I'm trying to be fair, and I'm trying to keep my age out of it. I don't think that streaming services have really helped the music industry at all. What I mean by that is it hasn't really helped the artist in getting what they deserve, money and that kind of stuff. So I think streaming services have kind of done a little more damage than we think, and that's just coming from an artist's point of view.
Yeah, you hit a lot of points there, a lot of points throughout. I'm going to just come out and say it. I do think that streaming services have devalued music to a certain degree. And I'm going to try to hit a lot of your points. Let's just hit some of the immediate ones that you just said. It's given everyone an opportunity to be able to create music and put it up there, okay?
Yes.
Which I think is a fantastic thing. I think everybody deserves a shot at it. If that's something, if you have a dream or something, But what happens is the quality lessens, because you're going to have different levels of ability and different levels of quality, both in the ability, skill sets, right, in terms of being an artist and creativity, and then also in the actual audio dynamics. We've created enough freeware online that people can do whatever they want to do, but in essence, it does take a little bit away then from the artist who is investing all this extra time, money, blood, sweat, tears to get a quality recording, a quality product. And we've talked about this in many different episodes, even in the most recent one this season. We talked about, like, if you're going to invest your money in anything, invest it in better sound, better sounding material at the end, because that's what people are going to hear from you, right? You don't want a bad recording to turn somebody off. I've been there. I've had it, unfortunately. Both in the analog days and in the early digital days for a number of years, because I still wasn't grasping some of the things, and I was putting things out that, somebody probably should have hit me in the head, knocked me out, and dragged me out of the room. But, you live, you learn, right? So I think in some regards, it devalues those that it's just not a fly-by-night thing. It's like, hey, I just don't want to cross this off in a bucket list. Or, hey, I had an album out one year, me and Grandma did it in the basement. And, I don't know if anybody listened to it, but, hey, we did it. It's something you talk about around the coffee table at Christmas time.
This is Stephen Pearcy from Rat, the Rat Bastard. You're listening to the Cosmick Voice.
So, and again, I'm for everybody has an opportunity. That's fantastic. It's opened up a lot of things for a lot of people. But I also think that for music fans, like, they don't have to work to find anything. It's at your fingertips, which there's good and bad to that, right? If you never want to leave your house, well, then it's fantastic. And, over the past, year and a half with the COVID and the pandemic and the restrictions, well, streaming services went up. Right now, as of the date of recording this show, it's 2 million new songs uploads a month now. 2 million.
And correct me if I'm wrong, just so we're clear on that, just for the listeners also, that is from Eddie out of his basement up to the new Mammoth record, right? Like
right.
It's across the board. 2 million uploads is across the board, not just your
right, not just a bunch of indie unknowns. It's everybody. It's everybody. So everybody's being thrown out there, and that's, I mean, those numbers just keep increasing, and they're going to. Yeah. And what's going to happen is over time, there's going to be even more streaming services. And I'm not talking. This doesn't even take into an account all the illegal downloading. This is all on the boards that people can watch, check stats and stuff for. Right. So music in itself and the amount that's coming out is being devalued by itself. And I'm not sure what streaming services are. I mean, I know what TV streaming services are, price-wise. I don't know what music streaming services are because I don't really use them. But just say it's $10 a month and you have an infinite amount of choices. I mean, like really, in my opinion, because when you have so much, after a while, there's no impact. So there's no appreciation. There's no gratitude. The excitement wears off, or it's very short-lived, right? There's no and you're like, well, when, back in the day, you had to wait for it. You got the physical copy, right? And again, like we were talking on some other things, like you couldn't just skip over stuff per se. Like if you were listening to a radio station, the only way to skip over the songs you didn't want to hear is you had to change the radio station. But you couldn't be going too long or you'd miss one of your songs that you were hoping to hear on the other station. So you're jumping back and forth. Some markets have 3 or 4 stations that you could go to, and nowadays there's even less. And I find it even, with stuff, it's just commonplace. Like, I mean, everybody switched stations. I don't like the song, let's go to another until you find something, or you live with it until, whatever. I guess that is kind of in the same lines as, like I remember the early days of Pandora. If you didn't like a song, you could skip it. You could only skip it a couple times until an ad came up where they said something, like, you know what I mean? But you had to, because they wanted you to listen to some music because they had to give a certain amount of airtime to whatever. So I think that, again, $10 for an infinite amount of music, well, that does deface it somewhat. Now, you're saying you like physical copies. I love physical copies. I think any musician, any artist that's putting all the time and effort, there's still that desire to have an album.
Absolutely.
And they want it physical.
Yeah.
Now, I understand that artists on a budget, artists that have no money, artists that, are looking for the quick turnaround, well, the digital downloads are the way to go. I'm not a huge downloader. I don't like to download at all. I'd rather go buy it, right?
Right.
But as an artist, I take advantage of the digital downloads to make them available. And I have had some releases that were just digital because I have to play to the audience that I have. Right? So you have to play to your market. You have to know your market. And if you're trying to get that demographic, that digital downloads, and it's 40 and under, 35 and under. You definitely know it's 30 and under. Between 30 and 40 years old, it's a toss-up. My audience, and we've talked about it before, for my music, it's very niche. It's a 45 and dead. I think I get more streams from dead people these days than I do from the breathing. But so I got to play to them too, so I need physical stuff, right? And bands like Kiss and your boy Wolf Puck Mammoth or whatever his name is, I mean, they're going to put that stuff... Yeah, Wolfgang Puck Mammoth, Van Halen. They're going to put stuff out because, I mean, you think about it, all the top names, if you got a name, you got a big brand, people are going to still want a piece of that brand.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, we're not digital downloading hamburgers into our system. And I guess someday we will, but...
Probably.
Yeah, probably. But, you still want the substance, and I think there are those people like yourself. As to the reason why vinyl record stores have become popular again in the last 5 years, where vinyl sales as a physical element, something tangible, now outsells CDs.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
However, nothing's
even now,
beating the digital download still.
Right. And even nowadays, cassettes are kind of in the conversation. I mean, they're kind of hanging back, but they're in the race.
Oh yeah, those cassette communities, they've really popped up again. I mean, some people love the sound of them. For metal, and I've said this before, I've always thought cassettes made heavy metal back in the 80s sound just amazing. I don't know what it was, but it just was great. But yeah, and their novelty sells.
Yeah.
Right? You notice that? Like vinyl sales, like everybody, especially in the metal communities, has to have some form of vinyl.
Yeah.
The problem is right now the prices have come down, but it's still costly. It's still cheaper now to get these, CDs or the CDRs or the little digipacks, that are actually. I think as time goes along, they're going to get a little less expensive, but still more expensive than CDs. Because I remember, when CDs started to become in all the rage, especially for, indie artists to take advantage. I mean, you were up into the thousands. Now you can do packages for under $1,000, even sometimes under $500, $300, depending. And smaller quantities now are becoming available. At one time, 500 was the only time, and and I've got tables built with CDs of bands that I was in. You know what I mean?
I just had this conversation with somebody else. I'm like, how many are we going to get? Because I could use coasters for the house.
That's right. Yeah, on every floor in every room.
My other CDs.
Yeah, it's crazy what they used to force you to get, and you're like, what am I going to do? And back then you would go, oh my God, I have all these CDs. I'll just think of the money I make. And then you're like, you can't even get rid of 10 of them. You start throwing them at cars, hoping that somebody will, go, oh, what is this? And then take it home with them at least. But, then they just, yeah. So, it's that kind of thing.
You are listening to The Cosmic Voice with your hosts, Chris Natalini and Mick Michaels.
I do think that the artist puts a lot of time and energy, and I know that as a band, I know that my band does. Like, there's a package, there's a song order, there's a reason for that song order,
right.
Exactly. All that kind of stuff. I like the smell of the packaging, whether it is the vinyl or CD or whatever, but you feel like you really have something. To me, it's always been a connection to that artist. It's a piece of artwork, really. Some are worse than others, but regardless of that, it's I just don't think people have the same appreciation as they once did, because they don't have to work for it so much. And now, because we're in this era where it's important for the artists at all levels to keep releasing as much as you can. So indie artists, trench artists, are doing it all the time. They're opting, and we talked about this, to not do albums and release songs monthly, every couple weeks. One, it's become more economic, for sure. You piecemeal it through. And again, I've been part of that. I'm doing it as well, because you're feeding a need or, a want from the audience that you're trying to keep engaged. So you have a little bit of everything, right, these days. And you're going to have it, like you said, with Wolfgang's release, there's like a piece of him, right? And there's a legacy, a family legacy. So he's probably going to give you a bit more, because he's still trying to kind of create his own niche. Yeah. And right now, his niche is still his father. We'll see in 5 to 10 years, does that niche become his own? We'll see. Right. I don't know. Right. Who knows? Kiss, in other words, again, Kiss has been known to go overboard with a lot of their they give you this, they give you that, you get this, you get that. Maybe you're right. Maybe the idea is because these are supposed to be kind of like bootleg, per se, that they're trying to create that, so it's less is more type of thing. You're just getting it right off the board, But as a Kiss fan, and what you're used to getting, you're like, oh, I was hoping for just a little bit more of that, that mystique. Right. But that's not going to deter you from buying the next one if it comes out, is it?
Oh, well,
no, probably not. Right. So, where some people go, well, I'm not even going to worry about it, I'll just digitally download it. Right. The other thing that people could do, and this is just now, I'm just throwing this out here, like, you don't want to devalue yourself. Again, like I said, you got to play to the audience that you have. And maybe, and we do this as well, some things are digital, some things are album tangible, some things are both, some things are only available here, but not here. Like, we have some digital downloading that's only available on our site. It's not in any of the streaming services like Spotify and iTunes and all that stuff, because you want to keep them engaged. So let them look a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Same with, like, we have stuff that's only available at the shows and not available anywhere else. Like, recently we did over the summer, we did a mystery merch bag for our Blood and Steel thing. And that seemed to do real well. I don't know. Going back to what you said, it's not that I'm trying to be the old guy in the room. And actually, between you and I'm not. You are, just so you know. Like, we have the power to skip now. Now, I know you could do that. You could, we used to be able to get up and move the needle over or slide it over or whatever. But, I think that a lot of us, even the songs that we did not like as much, when we were listening to the album, like the original version of the album, we just kind of powered through. Like, we would listen to it because that's the kind of fans we were. I know that when you made your own mixtape, you didn't include those songs, right? but that's what you did, because they were blank canvases. You created it with your own, but you also put Kiss with Queensryche and Iron Maiden, Def Leppard, and you picked your favorite Twisted Sister song, and so it was all over the place. But that's what that idea was.
Right.
So I guess in some regards we did it too, but I'm not sure if we were devaluing the music the same way. Now, I guess some people could say, well, people used to copy tapes and hand them to their buddies and stuff like that. Yeah, we all did it. Everybody did it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, album sales were still out the roof in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
Right? People were still going gold and going platinum and double platinum. And that stuff isn't happening the same way these days with digital downloads.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Honestly, I'm not even sure how they judge in terms of for yearly awards. Like, how do you judge a top album? It's because it's not physical sales anymore, right? It's all the digital stuff. But how do you guarantee? Like, again, I guess they have the numbers, but if people aren't listening to the whole album, how can you tell that that's a hot album? And I know we can go back to say single sold albums, and you're absolutely right. In the 80s, video sold albums.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, video sold albums. So, and I'm playing both sides here. I'm going back and forth. But in my opinion, I do think that the streaming services have devalued music to a certain degree, and ultimately it's devalued the artist. I'll give you a case in point, right? Case in point is, back in the day when you used to play, or there's that term again, back in the day, but in the 80s when we used to play, the bands were treated with a little bit more of a kid gloves because they were the entertainment, bringing people in. Sure, were there people that treated the bands crap? Yeah, sure. You know what I mean? That stuff's always existed. Were bands not paid? Sure, it's always been like that. Were bands paid? Yeah. But at the same time, there was an appreciation to make sure that the artist was somewhat cared for. Now, I'm not talking like red carpet and, and all this kind of stuff, but I mean that they were permitted to do what they needed to do to bring people into the door, right? Nowadays, again, they're stocking bands 5, 6 deep. Now, again, not right now, but as COVID, makes its way out the door and bands go back to being, hopefully we don't go back to what we did before. But from stuff that I'm seeing that's happening, it looks like more of the same before.
Yeah.
And I have talked to some places that are changing that, because again, like we talked about before, the artist needs the venue just as much as the venue needs the artist. Their idea is like, well, there's always another band. I've heard people say that. There's always another band. Another band that's ready to step up and take somebody else's place. Yeah, but again, is that band is worth anything? Are they going to put the time in? Are they going to be around in a few years? Yeah. Right? Are they good to do business with? I don't know. We have to be mindful of that. Everybody has to make their bones. Everybody gets an opportunity. But at the same time, you got to be fair to the bands that are really putting in the time, and it's not just a fly-by-night thing. And I think that that's kind of what streaming services have done to some. Look, TV services, there is so much content. And I'll give you another example. I seen an interview with George Clooney, and he said when he started in the late 70s, early 80s, whatever, there was maybe 50 jobs available for both actors, writers, directors, producers, right? 50. So you knew what was going on in town.
Yeah.
So there was a limited window of opportunity, and you had to be good to get it. Yeah. Right? Now, because of everybody and their mother has a streaming service, and they have original content. Even some of the free stations or free streaming things like Crackle and all, they have original content. So everybody needs writers and producers and people to work on the crew and the actors. And I mean, you're getting actors like, who are these people? I don't know who they are. You know, and it's all over the place, and it's not just in English. It's all, you know. So, and this is what he said. He goes, so the pool is unbelievable. He goes, there's so much work available. You just got to get out there and do it. Now, and he also then said, it's not all good.
That's right.
But it's available.
Right. But it's available,
Yeah, he goes, you get lost in how much stuff's available to do as an actor. Now, you're talking about a higher echelon guy now.
Yeah.
But he's, you know, giving from his experience then and now. So if it's that way for TV, the movie industry, so on and so forth, streaming services of the visual type, then it's the same thing for the audio, the way I look at it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. The one thing about some of the streaming services, especially like Bandcamp, the one thing I like that they do, and now I can't speak for all the artists. I can only speak to the genres that I listen to. But with Bandcamp, to me, they do it smart. If you buy a hard copy of a record, if it's available, then they give you the download for free so you can instantly listen to it.
Sure.
I think that's kind of cool because you're still buying physical, but now you don't have to wait for the hard copy. Now, me, I never listen to the download anyway. I wait till my physical copy comes in. I also find that this is me. I can't speak for anybody else. But, you know, because they don't have CD players in cars anymore. Like, you know, the newer cars, they don't even have CD players in them anymore. I find it harder to concentrate on newer music streaming than I do actually putting a CD in and soaking it in. Now, that could just be because it's just my old way of thinking. You know, when you used to get something new, you put it in, you look through the booklet or whatever, and you listen to the music. But with streaming, I don't get that. I don't take streaming music in as deep as I would when I have a physical copy in front of me. Now, that could just be my own head. But I don't know. I feel that when you stream something, when you're listening to it, I don't know. To me, it just loses something here. You're getting it, you're liking it, but to me, I'm not really kind of focused deep into it. Now, if it's something that I physically bought and downloaded to my phone or my computer, whatever, then that's completely different. But if I'm just listening to Spotify for the day and I want to hear the new whoever's new record, I don't know if I'm soaking that in as much as I normally would if I had a physical copy and listen to it at home or in my car. But they don't make CD players for cars anymore.
I can understand what you're saying. I understand. Anytime I had gotten something new, I'd pop it on and and I was attentive to it.
Right.
I was there, like I just recently got a fresh, not brand new, but a fresh vinyl of Kiss's Music from the Elder. Now, I've heard it before, right. But I opened it up, cracked open that vinyl, put it on the player, I sat down, I looked at the lyric sheet, I opened up the gatefold. I've seen this thing 100 times, but this was a new copy. Not brand new, but it was new to me. It was used, but very good copy.
Yeah, I get it.
You know what I mean? And I'm listening intently, like, oh, maybe there's something I didn't hear before and all that. So, and again, that may be because that's what we were used to doing. Now, I'm sure you bring somebody else in, they tell you something different. But listen, man, if you're not paying much for something, then it's not that big of a deal, right? I mean, you think about it. When gym memberships drop down to $10 a month, $5 a month, they figured we get 100 people to pay $5. I'm just throwing out some numbers. $5, $10 a month, and they forget about it, and it just keeps going and going and going. It's like free money. Nobody cares about $5 and $10. Even in today's world, there's that disposable income type of thing that still exists. No matter how bad things are, 35 million people unemployed or whatever they said it was, and this, that, and the other thing, there's still all this disposable income that wasn't available 50 years ago, 70 years ago, 35 years ago, right? The world has changed. The tables have shifted, right? I mean, there's more millionaires now than there were, 70 years ago. But now that millionaire that's not the ceiling anymore like it used to be, right? It's someplace else. Right. Like a dollar store. That's what it is. It's a dollar store. That broke. I'll buy another one. There's another dollar. Dollar stores do amazing amount of stuff. It's quantity over quality.
Yes.
And at 2 million new uploads a month, That's exactly what that is.
Crazy, man.
So, and then you said, and you said it, the question is does it then ultimately devalue the artist? Yeah, absolutely. Because streaming services aren't paying the artists.
Yeah. Oh, that's
and they're either not getting anything or they make it so small it doesn't make a difference. Like, what can you do with it? Yeah. What are you buying for 0.0003 from Denmark?
So true.
What are you buying with it?
True.
You can't even go to the penny candy store.
Yeah.
Listen, that's why at one point, a number of years ago, Taylor Swift wasn't putting her stuff on, what was it, Spotify?
Yeah.
Right? And there's some artists that won't do that because it's like, why should I do that? You know, if you're a big-name artist with all these followers, fans, you put your stuff up there, they're just going there. And who benefits at the end? The streaming service.
Right.
Because that's just a simple number. You have 100 fans, they go. Let's just say 15% are converted to immediate subscribers. Well, that's long term for the streaming service, and the long term could be 3 months, 6 months, a year. That's more than you're going to get out of that fan for that one time that they went to go listen to your stuff, in my opinion. Right? They're going to get $10 a month, and even if they listen to your song 100 times, 100 times 0.0003, you do the math, I don't have it, you just got to move that decimal point over to, is 0.03.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? So has it devalued the artist? Absolutely. The artist isn't worth anything. It's not worth anything. They're just throwing content. The more content I have, the more interesting it makes it for the people that want to, you know, dive into finding weird stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. Yeah. It's like podcasts now. I mean, everybody and their mother has a podcast. Look at us. We got podcasts. You know? And everybody's fighting for that share of 2 people to listen.
Yeah, so true. Yep.
So music's doing the same thing, and we've talked about this before in previous seasons, that unless you've already built a massive brand, a juggernaut of a brand, like did it in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, early 90s, even in the beginning of the 2000s, before the internet really exploded in 2002 and 2003, everybody else is fighting for the scraps at Longshank's table. Do you see what I'm saying? And you know, and if you started in 2010 and you know and after, well, good luck to you, buddy. They should be handing out shovels because you're just digging your own grave.
Yeah, I think that I mean devaluing the artist. I mean, I didn't really look at it that way. That is a really good point. But you know, devaluing an artist. That's a really good point.
Yeah, listen. I know it's a catch-22. Right? Like if we really wanted something that was going to give us, you know, a solid foundation as in a career and all that kind of stuff, in talking in terms of the industry, well, then maybe we should have been a doctor, a lawyer, or an undertaker. Do you get them coming and you get them going?
That's right.
But listen, you know, it goes back down to this. Regardless of what's happening out there, right? And some of that's out of our control. They didn't send me a card and said, hey, Mick, you've been an artist for 30 years. Please vote on if you feel that we should have streaming services or not. Be mindful that we're not going to pay you, but we need your input. My card didn't come in the mail, right? I'm assuming your card didn't.
No, I did not get a card. Nope.
Yeah.
That never came.
My hope is it got lost with my draft card years ago, so I guess I wasn't complaining. But so whatever changes they make in the industry, for the most part, they're not going to ask your approval or your input.
Right.
As artists, as you and me as artists, we just got to keep doing the best we possibly can. Even if, like it's just like being in a classroom. You're going to have your A, B, C, and don't show up students, right? You make the decision of what type of artist you want to be, and to hell with the rest of them. If you want to be an A+, you keep hammering away. A+. My material is good. It sounds good. Yeah, I'm fighting for space. 2 million uploads each month, and that's going to keep going up. By the end of the year, I'm sure it's going to be someplace else. It was a massive change from 2019 to the third quarter of 2020 because of the pandemic, and now we're into 2021, halfway through and beyond. You do that math, but as an artist, we have to keep doing the best we possibly can. And you're going to always have people that are going to try to devalue what you do because they're either trying to get the leg up or that's competition because everybody wants a payday. But your payday at the end is that your music will keep going on. Don't be a fly-by-night. That's my opinion. Don't be a fly-by-night. If you're going to do it, you do it well. That's just the way it works, in my opinion. Just because others devalue it doesn't mean that you have to devalue it.
Yeah, and I completely, wholeheartedly agree. You just keep plugging away and do what you got to do. And, unfortunately, sometimes you just got to play the game. But on the other hand, while you're playing the game, you could do the old school stuff too. I mean, it just, you could do both.
Yeah.
And,
play to your audience. Yep.
Yeah. And, you and I had said this from the very first show we ever did. Your version of success is what you claim it to be. So, if you're out there and you're doing well and all you're doing is streaming stuff, then rock on. If it's making you happy and if you feel like you're successful, then that's great. You just got to keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, keep in mind, this is probably our disclaimer or my disclaimer. I'm not saying that by as an artist, doing digital services or doing digital releases is a bad thing. I'm not saying that's your way of playing into devaluing. No. What I'm saying is you have to play to your audience. If your audience that you primarily work with is digital downloading, you'd be foolhardy not to go that
100%.
route. Yeah,
100%.
But like you were saying, you can dabble in the other stuff, give them a little extra.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
The old add-on sale routine, add-on sales. You know what I mean? Do them at the register. Oh, you want to pick up some candy, maybe a quick drink, or you know what I mean? Something like that. A pack of Luckies, whatever you want. You do that. But what you're going to do, regardless if it's digital and or physical, make it the best you possibly can.
Absolutely.
You got anything else you want to add?
No, man, I think we pretty much said it all.
Well, I don't know what we said, but we said a lot of something.
We did say a lot.
But I am going to say this. If you like this show, check out some of our other shows. We have a few seasons. We also have some other content. We have Cosmo's Top of the Heap list, and we have Cosmuck and Junk. And you can get all that, everything that comes in the Cosmickverse, digitally at www.thecosmickvoice.com. Thanks, everyone, for listening. This is The Cosmick Voice. Be sure to check us out at thecosmickvoice.com. Like and follow us on Facebook at The Cosmick Voice. You can find The Cosmick Voice everywhere you listen to online podcasts, like Deezer, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Stitcher, and so many more.
Okay, folks, that will do it for another episode of The Cosmick Voice. Mick and I would like to say thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
You're listening to The Cosmick Voice. Music, talk, and nothing but business.